A very good friend of mine. He is hoping to do, what is that show you want to do in Quebec?
I wanted to work at the athletes' dinner at Ironman.
So he wants to do Comedy Central Ironman athletes in Quebec. So his name's Mike Keating. Please give him a warm welcome.
So, thanks everybody for coming. So, Serenity was talking a few minutes ago that she likes to smoke the weed. Can you believe that it's already been like 8 years since voters in this state first approved the use of medical marijuana? And then a week later, the maker of Twinkies went bankrupt. You can't make that up. Look, I don't know how, look, I'm kind of conflicted as to how I feel about this whole marijuana thing. I mean, the last thing I want to do is send people to jail over it, but at the same time, I think, there's like too much of it being smoked. I mean, what convinced me of that was last Halloween, even though Charlie Baker banned trick or treat, I had one guy show up at my door dressed as a pot plant. I mean, all right, call me old-fashioned, but I am not giving candy to anybody wearing a costume like that. I did what I thought was right. I gave him a giant bag of Doritos. And hey, can you believe that gay marriage has been legal for like 17 years now, at least in this state? I mean, I remember what a shit show it was when it first happened, all the hate that was online, like, what'll they fight for next? The right to marry their dogs? All right, give me a break. I mean, I wish the jackasses that need to say things like that would do me a really big favor. Could they please explain to my dog that we're not married? I mean, you should have seen the look she gave me when I left the house. Hey, where are you going? Is it another comedy show? What is wrong with you? You never want me. We never spend time together. You don't love me. I mean, talk about laying on the guilt. Trust me, my wife's got nothing. So speaking of which, my wife was actually supposed to come tonight, but she couldn't make it, and I'm kind of disappointed about that. I mean, I am a much better person for having known her for over 30 years. I mean, before we met, I had like zilch for people skills. Does anybody in here, by any chance, remember Liam's Irish Tavern? It used to be located in Framingham. Yep. I celebrated my 18th birthday there. That was the drinking age back then. So I'm sitting up at the bar next to this girl, and we're chatting, and a couple hours later, she says, Mike, would you like to drive me home? It'll be a lot of fun. I'll give you the best birthday present you ever had. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, what's not to like about that? So we get in the car, we drive a few blocks, cop pulls us over. He says, sir, have you been drinking? So I just looked up at him and I said, is my date that ugly? So earlier today, I was chatting with my son. Now, I enjoy catching up with him whenever I get the chance because I'm really proud of the way he's turned out. Happily married, he's got a lovely son, baby on the way, just bought a house, works a great job at a highly respected company. Now, there's a small downside to that last part. You see, his employer has such a great reputation that pretty much everybody in the world has hit him up for a job. And at this point, he's pretty fed up. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, he had a complete meltdown. I mean, you guys should have heard him. Dad, I'm not going to hire you. Leave me alone. Does anybody in here now work for somebody young enough to be your son or daughter? Yep, that's been my reality for like 12 years. I'm fine with it now, but back then, different story. Didn't help that supervisor was a complete asshole. I mean, there he was, half my age, playing the experience card on me. Well, Mike, this isn't my first rodeo. No shit, you've been riding my ass non-stop. Anyway, these days, I work part-time. I'm a lifeguard at a local health club. I open their swimming pool 3 mornings a week at 5:30 a.m., not tomorrow, thankfully. But let me tell you what type of people swim at that hour. Type A personalities, with upscale jobs, high expectations, one of them being, you better open on time or else. The one day that I accidentally opened at 5:35, I immediately had this irate asshole member right up in my face. He's like, you think those 5 minutes don't matter? You might want to think again. I got to be in my office in Boston today. Do you have any idea how much commuter traffic can change in that amount of time? Especially on the Mass Pike. I mean, why don't you guys better understand what we go through? I'm like, well, maybe because you didn't fucking hire me when I sent you my resume. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have said that. I mean, things got pretty ugly. He gave me a mean look. He started coming toward me in a very aggressive manner. He's like, Dad, don't start that shit again. I have never been happy in the world of work. I mean, this goes back to college when a company made me take a polygraph. Yeah, they were actually legal back then. And it was so humiliating because first they made me fill out this long questionnaire. It must have been about 20 pages, and it covered things like drug usage, job history. Then after that, they hooked me up to the machine. And they started asking those accusing questions in that real hostile tone, like, are you being truthful with us about your drug usage? Are you sure you're telling us everything about your job history? I mean, give me a break. I mean, how is that fair? Can I hook them up to the machine? Is the salary you often all you can afford? Am I really going to get that promotion in 6 months? Is your boss a total fuckhead like you? You know, one thing that bothers me about this whole COVID business is that the Boston Marathon has been postponed from April to October. And I've run it a few times, so I'm kind of bothered that I'm not going to see my buddies out training for it. But to tell you the truth, that race was becoming a shit show even before COVID. One of the big problems is that so many people want to run it that they don't have room for everybody, and they're forced to turn away quality athletes. Now this generates a whole lot of resentment toward charity runners. And you guys know who I'm talking about, right? They get bibs because they raise money for certain causes. Truth be told, I was a charity runner. But still, I understand the resentment because some of these organizations couldn't care less about speed or fitness level. All it is show me the money. In fact, I saw one guy who I am certain had to be over 90 years old. He slumped way over, very slowly dragging himself along, taking little tiny baby steps. I mean, I really hope he raised some serious cash because, man, let me tell you, that was tough to watch. That bastard beat me by 30 minutes. Yeah, that last race, the last time I raced it, it was not a good experience. I had a guy running in front of me. I'm sure that his running shorts were way too big for him. I mean, they were riding halfway down his butt, which is pretty gross to look at. Turns out he got arrested as soon as he crossed the finish line. Well, I mean, he had 30 pounds of crack in plain sight. And then my race bib fell off, so I was forced to stop and put it back on. Now, I hate safety pins. Look at me. Middle-aged guy, middle-aged vision. Do you guys have any idea how tough it is to fuck around with these little tiny objects in the rough clothes and they're all blurry? All right, let's have a quick show of hands. How many people in here need reading glasses? You know, for sex. I learned the hard way never to tell that joke in front of my wife. Yeah, she always raises her hand. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the warmer weather coming here because I also do triathlons, swim, bike, run. Been doing them for like 10 years. Now, the first race was pretty horrible. Just like most newcomers, I couldn't swim worth shit, and when I got out of the water, I was completely stressed. I'm like, you know, look, what is wrong with this wetsuit? It's supposed to be easy to put on and take off, yet here I am struggling with it. The volunteer looks at me and says, sir, you're wearing it inside out. And yeah, the bike ride didn't go any better. I finished way in the back of the pack. I mean, it was so embarrassing. I don't think I passed one guy on that entire ride. Now, I managed to pass a couple women. Of course, I beat them because they stopped at a yard sale. Yeah, a couple weeks ago. That last joke totally backfired on me. I mean, it was so awkward because nobody laughed, they didn't boo, nothing. They all just looked at each other totally confused, like, what the hell is a yard sale? So a couple months after that fiasco, I started taking a triathlon training class. And the first day, we're waiting beside the pool, and out comes the instructor, and she says, okay, now we got 4 lanes to use, so why don't we have all the fast swimmers in lane 1, the average swimmers in lane 2, and the slower people in lane 3. Mike, you grab the 4th lane. Oh, by the way, your wetsuit's inside out. You know, I always get some of my fellow triathletes nagging me to do an Ironman, what Serenity was talking about. You know, one reason I want to perform at the show, at the athletes' dinner, so I don't have to do the race. But they're always nagging me, like, do the Ironman with us, it'll be fun, throw it on your bucket list. I'm saying, look, let me get this straight. You're seriously suggesting that I swim 2.5 miles, bike 112 miles, then run a marathon all in the same day? That's on my bucket list. Yeah, but just to shut them up, I did say that I would volunteer at the race. Now, I hope they assign me to the finish line because, you know, it's a real spectacular place to be. I totally love watching the MC welcome each and every athlete as they approach. John Doe, you are an Ironman. Mary Smith, you are an Ironman. Mike Keating, you're the stupid fuck who keeps wearing his wetsuit inside. And you, on the other hand, have been a wonderful audience, which is why I enjoy doing this. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, thank you, Mike Keating. So, I just want to point out to everyone, we have all of the comics, Instagram, Facebook, you can find them out. One of the comics has a podcast, so if you think they're funny, go on their pages, like their pages, follow their stuff, right? That's what it's about. So, we have a very good friend of mine coming up to the stage. She was in the last comic standing at Mohegan Sun. And give a warm welcome to Suzanne Boitano.